Hello, welcome to another edition of What the Papers Are Saying. I am Vivian Lokko. Thank you for making time to join us for another edition where we look at the big stories for the week. When I come back, I'll take you through the stories that made headlines for this week. Do stay with us. Welcome back to What the Papers Are Saying. I am Vivian Lokko. So which stories made headlines this week? Of course, that's to do with Sammy Gyamfi and the dollar scandal, gift scandal has made a lot of news this week. Let's see how that has been captured and where we've gotten to with that particular story. We'll start with the Chronicle and see how they reported it. They say Sammy Gyamfi off the hook. President accepts his public apology. Daily Guide, Agrada dollar gift, Mahama clears Sammy Gyamfi. And then Channel 1 News, minority petition strike CID OSP for probe into Sammy Gyamfi's dollar gift. We'll take you to the other story that has made headlines this week. It has to do with the Cedi and its current performance against the dollar, leading to some interventions or calls by some sections of the media for traders to reduce the cost of the goods they sell to us. So let's see how that issue is panning out. We'll start with City Newsroom. They say Guta AGI sets 60-day deadline to cut prices as Cedi strengthens. Channel 1 News, don't be lazy, explore the market for fair prices, Guta tells consumers. We'll still stay with the issue to do with the Cedi and its performance against the dollar, and then also some issues wrapped around the gift with from Sammy Gyamfi to Agri. Sammy Gyamfi to Agrada, which triggered into conversations over how we use foreign currency, the right to withdraw over the counter and all that, and the latest around that discussion. We'll start with citynewsroom.com. They say BOG, over-the-counter dollar withdrawals still permitted. So that's the latest to that matter, which triggered a lot of concerns based on what was said by a board member of the BOG yesterday. We'll move away from that. We'll move to the SkyTrain project, the latest around the court and corruption case around that, having to do with Professor Sammy Gyamfi. So let's see how that story was captured by some of the media outlets. I'll take you to the Chronicle. They say $2 million SkyTrain payment. Ayine ready for plea bargain as Professor Sammy Gyamfi, Solomon Asamoah are charged. City Newsroom, Professor Sammy Gyamfi charged with alleged $2 million SkyTrain payment. And then Channel 1 News.com, $2 million SkyTrain case, AG files charges against Professor Sammy Gyamfi, ex-GIIF CEO. We'll wrap up with the big stories for the week, and then we'll go to the committee set up to investigate the suspended Chief Justice. What's the latest with that story? Let me take you to the custodian, because they say we are watching your move on CJ, Commonwealth Lawyers Caution, Mahama. CityNewsroom.com, committee probing petitions against suspended CJ begins hearing on Thursday. And then Channel1News.com, committee probing CJ is just a charade. Dr. Zato speaking over there. So it's been a busy week, very interesting developments around these four news items. Let me introduce my guest today to help me look into the various angles and the matters arising, as well as the developments around some of these stories. Sammy Gyamfi is here with us at Channel 1 TV as well as City 97.3 FM. Sammy,
hi,
your
Vivian.
name is making news. It's been making news since the weekend, and now it's bothering my tongue and my brain at the same time. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Vivian. Good evening.
Good evening to you. And then we also have Selomadon, also here with us at Channel 1 as well as City 97.3 FM. Selam, welcome.
Thank you, Vivian.
All right. So, gentlemen, I'll start with the Sammy Gyamfi. Sammy Gyamfi.
It's going to be a long night. A very long night.
Sammy Gyamfi dollar gift issued to Agrada. But before I go to that, I'll take a quick break. When I come back, I'll bring you some videos from that incident, and then I'll engage my guests for today. Stay with us.
Calling all farmers, agribusinesses, and innovators, this is your chance to shine. Channel 1 TV invites you to exhibit at Agri Fair 2025, one of Ghana's largest agriculture exhibitions. From Friday 20th to Sunday the 22nd of June, the A4 Sutherland Children's Park in Accra will come alive with the very best from Ghana's agribusiness sector. Are you a farmer with fresh produce of any kind? Be it crops, livestock or poultry, fisheries or aquaculture, or you're a supplier of agro inputs and processing machinery, this is your platform to connect with the world. AgriFair 2025 is more than an exhibition. Showcase your fresh produce, share your expertise and experience, and grow your business. So, to all farmers with fresh produce, livestock or poultry, fisheries or aquaculture products, come, sell, network, and expand your business. AgriFair 2025, where culture meets innovation. Register now to secure your spot. Call us on 0205 973 973. Come one, come all. Enjoy the freshest farm produce at unbeatable prices. And treat yourself to sizzling kebabs made from beef, mutton, pork, chicken, and more. Great taste, great value. Don't miss out. The AgriFair 2025 is powered by Channel 1 TV with support from 97.3 Cedi FM and is proudly sponsored by Exim Bank, Legacy Crop Improvement Center, and Development Bank Ghana.
Yeah, welcome back to What the Papers Are Saying. I am Vivian Lokko in the studio. I have with me Selomadon as well as Sammy Gyamfi. We're going to look at the big stories for the week. We'll start with Sammy Gyamfi, who got involved in a bit of trouble after gifting Agrada a pasta, if you like, some dollars over the weekend, which led to a lot of backlash from some sections of the public. He subsequently apologized for his acts and was pardoned by the president. Let me take you to the spokesperson for the president on what he said about the matter after he said the president pardoned Sammy Gyamfi.
The chief of staff also took the opportunity to reissue the same caution that the president had sent to all appointees to be circumspect in their conduct. There may be things that may be commonplace in our private lives, but once you become a public official, you need to be sensitive to public expectation, and therefore that ought to guide the way that you order your steps. So in view of that, presidency does not believe that any further action ought to be taken beyond the apology and the caution. And we all take a cue from it, and are going to do better in order to meet the expectations of the Ghanaian public. We value feedback. We are aware that Ghanaians expect high standards in the performance of our duties as public officials. We remain committed to meeting those high standards to ensure that we deliver the best of governance to our people who have been long suffering in the last few years under poor governance.
So that's the spokesperson for the president. But the minority has reacted to this development. They've actually gone ahead to petition some key institutions, despite the president pardoning the gentleman. Let's hear what they've also been saying.
What we want them to do is to conduct an investigation into the matter, and so that Mr. Sammy Gyamfi, if he has not committed any offense, he will declare properly, but not the clearance His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has given to him. If you look at our concern, we want these institutions of state who are mandated to do some of these things to find out the source of the money. Where did Mr. Sammy Gyamfi got that huge amount of money that he doesn't have Ghana Cedi in his car, and he can put his hand into a bag and bring $10,000 and dash to alleged $10,000 alleged and dash to somebody. And also want them to investigate whether the said currency form part of public or institutional fund entrusted into Mr. Sammy Gyamfi hands as the acting CEO of Gold Board. We also want to know whether it's a potential conflict of interest and abuse of office. We also want to know whether he has violated the code of conduct for public officers recently launched by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. And we also want to know whether he has breached the Foreign Exchange Act, which we believe he has. We also want to know potential tax evasion by Mr. Sammy Gyamfi or the receiver of the money.
Right, so that's the latest to this development. They've actually petitioned the CID, the OSP, as well as the special prosecutor on the matter. Let me start with you, Sammy Gyamfi. Now, the gentleman has apologized. The president has pardoned him. We should move on, shouldn't we?
Yeah, we should move on. For me, I find nothing wrong with what Mr. Sammy Gyamfi did. We all go out publicly, people ask us for money, we give these amounts of money or whatever we have on ourselves to people. And for me as a journalist, sometimes I go out, people confront me, like people I know, confront me, you give out money to them. So I don't really see anything wrong with what, Mr. Sammy Gyamfi did, with the exception that because he's a public official, and that, it comes on the back of the launch of the code of conduct by the president, seeking some level of conduct or behavior from, his appointees. And so people will make a lot of noise, about this issue. And I understand where they are really coming from. But then again, the question we also need to ask ourselves is, if Sammy Gyamfi had given Agrada Cedis, would it be making these noise as we are? Considering he gave,
I think the issue is the dollars.
It's the dollar. That's the only issue we are having, this conversation over. But then, which politician hasn't given out amount of money to people before, even in hard currencies? It's just that he hasn't come public, and so you will not be able to pinpoint these politicians. But politicians give out, money to people who meet them, even strangers. They give strangers money, and so for him to give Agrada money, I don't see anything wrong with it. Just that because there's a viral video, and that's what is generating this whole controversy about it. But aside that, I don't really find anything wrong. And I've heard people say that he's breached some laws and the likes. Which law specifically are we talking about? Because I heard Dr. Kabiru speak on Eyewitness News that he's broken some Forex Acts and then quoting certain sections of it. Fine. If he's breaking the law, we should take him through the due process. But the leader who appointed him to be the acting CEO of the Gold Board says he's apologized. They say the apology, public apology, is punishment enough. And at least he's accepted that he did wrong. And so we should move on as a country and stop this conversation. Understand where the minority is coming from. They want to play politics with it. And they want to still, continue the conversation, because Sammy Gyamfi was one individual who was really a thorn in the flesh of the NPP in the last administration of Nana Akufo-Addo. So if an issue like this comes up, they may want to make a political mail out of it. They may want to, draw out every blood, in this particular matter. The more reason why they are escalating it to the OSP, the CID, and then try to investigate the matter. But I don't see this proceeding anywhere or coming out with any verdict, because the president has cleared him. Even though these are independent institutions who will do independent work, I don't see them, having any negative verdicts on Sammy.
They'll toe a similar line to that of the president?
I believe so, because
move on.
There are not really concrete evidence or concrete laws the minority may be standing on to pursue this particular matter. Now, if you say the CID should go and investigate Mr. Sammy Gyamfi, where he got the dollars from, politicians have dollars. We live in a country where we every transaction is in dollars per se. You get people, buying properties in dollars. People who have cedis and they may go and use the cedis to go and buy dollars. And so if you say they should investigate the source of dollars, he may come up and say, oh, he went to, convert cedis to dollars.
But a public official just assuming in office changes money to dollars, gifting to people around, is that a good image, or is it ethically right for us to just sweep it under the carpet?
I'm not here to defend Sammy Gyamfi, but then you must also get to understand now, does it mean he wasn't, or he has never worked before whilst he was in opposition? At least we were told that he worked with KMA some years back. He also worked with one of the companies belonging to Mr. Ibrahim Mahama, and so he had a public life before entering politics. And so I wouldn't say that he's never made any savings at all.
Was he doling out dollars like that when he was
if he was, we didn't know because it wasn't public. We are only getting to know this because there's a video. What about the numerous politicians who give us thousands of dollars but we don't see videos or pictures of it? We are having this because we've seen videos of it. And I repeat, I want any politician to come out publicly and say that, oh, he's not giving dollars out to people before. We want to know. Those raising their hands and making all these accusations, it's for the politics of it, as I said. Okay. Because they want to sustain this conversation, and because Sammy Gyamfi was wild under the NPP administration.
So you think this is more of tit for tat?
Sort of.
Okay, let me bring in our lawyer, because he has studied the law on whether this whole thing of holding foreign currency, and doling it out when our legal tender is the cedi, that in itself, puts some questions around his actions too, being a public official and the kind of money he may have based on how much he's being paid, and being able to, dole out that amount of money. We're told it's a bundle. Some say it was 800. The figure is difficult to tell when you watch the video, But morally, ethically, legally, where does this fall?
Well, thanks, Vivian. Interesting turn of events and interesting times we live in. What did Sammy Gyamfi do? He, at a program, I think it was a funeral 1 week observation or so, met Agrada and gave her money which happened to be dollars. So that has become the issue. When I look at this, I look at it in two ways, really. Number one, I see the quest for accountability, and number two, I see some level of cynicism or political opportunism, and of course, it's fair deal. I mean, to look at it from both ends. When you look at it from the quest of accountability, we say we want to reset. So that promise of resetting opens the door very wide. So things which were very normal in the past could be called to question. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it only means that our society perhaps has seen the light and our society wants to do better. So that is good. And so the people who promised the reset must know that the reset could be amorphous. It may not be very defined. It could apply to anything and everything. And so whatever you are doing ensure that you are on the right side of the law and ethics. I also see that there is a certain growing level of impatience with the ruling class or with persons who are in public office, so that if you did something in the past as a private individual and now you are in public office, those same things will not be countenanced necessarily, especially given the kind of election we saw and the kinds of things which were said. I mean, almost brings the political appointee or the persons in the ruling class to a point where the public expects some level of, perfection, not perfection, but some level of perfection. Also, it also signals that the public is wide awake. And so the public will be quite unforgiving of things which in the past could be glossed over. Okay, we have a very charged political environment. And so a section of the public will always want to look out for something. So that's on the side of, quest for accountability. There's some level of cynicism and political opportunism in that. Sammy said politicians give out money every time, and that is true. Politicians give out money every time. When they go for programs, they give out money, etc. But the opportunism in this is that it has to do with the personality of the subject, or the personality of the person involved. That is Sammy Gyamfi. Perhaps if there had been another politician, I'm not sure the interest would have been this way. Sammy Gyamfi, because the opposition largely thinks that Sammy Gyamfi was one of the key architects of their defeat. So there are some persons, some young people who are very active in the campaign, and I'm not sure any of them will be spared if they falter a bit.
Yeah.
The thing they may falter in may not be very fatal, but the narrative could be portrayed in a manner that will make it look fatal. And if you are not careful, you will think the person has done something very heinous or very grievous. Again, it speaks to the first point of accountability and the fact that it's not everything you can be doing because you've promised a reset. And once a reset has come, you must ensure you play within the context of the reset, especially as few days before a code of conduct was launched. The code of conduct doesn't necessarily speak to donation or giving out money, but people have found a way to connect this to it or to infer that this attitude or this conduct is also frowned upon by the code of conduct. Yeah. It all tells you how the Ghanaian public has become, wide awake. Also, political opportunism, because we are trying, or opposition will try to find a dent or to find skeleton, even if there is none. Okay, so it is part of the political culture. You dig, and you find something, and your ability to hold on to that for a long time will determine whether the character involved will be discredited or not. So we saw it last week. We saw a press conference. We saw people talking. Now we've seen Shraj. Next week we may see something else, just to keep the narrative going. And it serves a certain political purpose. So we should not discount the political angle to that. The other point has to do with the money that was given. Yes, Sammy made the point. He gave out dollars. If you had given out Cedi, maybe it would have been different. Yeah. But he gave out dollars. And so now we go to the Financial Exchange Act. Did he have to hold the dollars that way? Did he have to give the dollars out and all of that? Now we dig and we see that no, by law, he did not even have to do that. He did not have to pay the person. Yeah. If you look at the law, you look at the definition or the interpretation section of payment, that includes donation or gifts. So did he have to do that? The currency involved is the matter, especially as the country is having a discussion with dollars, etc. So I think my view is that it was just an act of indiscretion. I think he took it for granted. I don't think that he was showing off, as people have said. I don't think it was an act of opulence. It was a gesture he made, but I think he didn't calculate it well, or he did not at that moment grasp the fact that he was no more the Sammy Gyamfi of 6 months ago or 7 months ago. Now is a Sammy Gyamfi who is a public official who is now accountable to the people. In the past, he wasn't really accountable to the people. Yeah. But now he is a person in public office and a person leading a very sensitive organization called the Gold Board, and a person who is seen as one of the key architects of the downfall of the MPP in the last election because of how he communicated, because of how he criticized, because of how he dealt with things. So, you know, it made it, so even though it's an indiscretion, in my view, which could be easily forgiven, we don't want to forgive, or people don't want to forgive, because it is Sammy Gyamfi, because it is dollars involved, because it's a public official. And I think it is good that this has happened quite early in the regime or in the term, so that the rest of the appointees will know that it is not business as usual. It is not business as usual. I think it's good for him too. Yeah. This is not so much of a big deal. It's something you can easily forgive, and we'll move on. How did he also handle it? When the matter came, I mean, I was in church on Sunday. Somebody said, "Have I seen Sammy Gyamfi's video?" I said, "No, which video?" He said, "No, he gave money to Agri." I said, "Oh, okay." I checked the trends this morning. I realized that Sammy Gyamfi and Agri were trending, but I just didn't go into that. So I saw the video, and I saw the gentleman counting money and giving it to the woman, and the woman, you know, snatching, you know, all of that. I don't think the money was $10,000, and that's how things are framed. You know, I think it was just a few hundreds or at most $2,000, and he gave about half of that to the woman, and the woman grabbed the rest. You know, I don't think it was $10,000. That's not how $10,000 looks like.
It's much thicker.
Yes, that's not how 10,000. And they know, the people saying 10,000, they know. That's why they allegedly. They know that it's not $10,000. But to make it sweeter, because what's the point is he gave $800 to somebody. I mean, $800, I mean, to be fair, it's not beyond Sammy Gyamfi. $1,000 or $2,000 is not beyond Sammy Gyamfi.
Because even the counting definitely was more than 800.
Yes.
But I mean, definitely not 10,000.
Yes, it's not 10,000. I mean, at most 2,000. But 2,000 is not beyond Sammy Gyamfi. Sammy Gyamfi doesn't have to be a public official to have $2,000. You understand? It's a lot of money. If it's wrong, it's wrong. But the embellishment of it to make it sound more grievous than it is, I think is disingenuous. You know, so yes, we deal with the matter as it is. So he apologized swiftly, which is good, which is something we've not seen, or we hadn't seen for a very long time. The chief of staff also acted quickly, you know, invited him to his office. That was also good, something we've not seen in a long while. And I don't know what the discussion was. And today or yesterday, we heard the president said he had pardoned him because he's apologized, and the code of conduct people are referring to as part of the sanctions has public apology as one of them. It has, I think, caution, it has suspension, it has resignation and dismissal, and all of that as part of the sanctions. So he's done the first one, which is apology. I mean, of course, you may decide to exact more punishment by maybe suspending him or sacking him, etc. But does this meet that threshold? Does this meet that threshold? I don't think it meets that threshold. Perhaps if it does it again, then maybe, like we say, somebody signs a bond of good behavior and the person goes to flout it again, then that you can exact.
But what
punishment.
do you say to people who say that this was the second test for the president on how he will deal with his appointees? The first had to do with the disclosure of assets. Declaration of assets, where he, you know, forgave again and extended the time. Another one forgave again and says, is this the trend that we'll be seeing from him, especially because of what we came from and the high expectations in terms of dealing with officials who go the other way? Yes,
I mean, good point. I think I did make the point last week that the president could have decided not to tell anybody, and he could have dealt with the matter as in the asset declaration, and nobody will know. In the past, we don't even know how it was, but he decided to say it, trying to make his people more accountable and making himself more accountable. That is something he has to deal with. But again, he runs a government, and he exercises judgment. And if in the exercise of judgment he realizes that this I can pardon, or this I can work with, or I can do it, fine, you do it that way. I think in both instances, he's shown some level of leadership. The fact that Sammy Gyamfi in this instance apologized meant a lot. I'm not sure, perhaps he sat on his own and decided to apologize. Maybe there were calls made to him. And he apologized maybe also because of the signal that the man, you know, has expressed or shown. Code of conduct, which is a huge signal. And the man says, reflect what I will do, or reflect me. So all these are things I think, I mean, we should credit Mahama for. because
The apology.
So the apology is, we've not seen this in the past, we've not seen this in a long while.
But isn't that a problem? Because we've not seen it in a while, and so we've lowered the bar. So an apology.
Yes, of course.
If
If you've lowered the bar, you see, if you've lowered the bar, you don't raise the bar instantly very high. If you do so, you can't jump it. So what will happen? In the end, you'll be left with nobody in your government.
The suspension is not too high, is it?
No, but the point is, did this particular act warrant a suspension? Did it meet the threshold? There's something we call prima facie. Did it meet the threshold? That's the question. Not about the commentary or the noise out there. But if you look at it objectively, as an independent-minded person, does this meet the threshold? Politicians go and they go to radio stations and places and they give out money to people, just that nobody films them. And you see, the cultural, underpinnings shouldn't be lost on us. People go to places, they give out things because it is actually expected that they will do that. Whether it's wrong or right is another discussion. For me, the real matter is because it's foreign currency and you don't have to do that. That is the matter. So in seeking to exact punishment, I think we must do so within a certain broader context that we are looking at it. If you want to approach it from a political opportunism point of view, then you say, let's hang the guy. But we will have to be a bit objective. And if we call for suspension or dismissals with things like this, then in the end we may end up with nobody in the government, because things like this may happen. So if that should be the approach, then in the end you will not end up with anybody. That's why I said it's good. It's happening.
There's a long list of people waiting to take up opportunities.
What I mean is,
as I said last week, it's always difficult for a president to sanction an appointee. It's always a difficult decision for a president to take.
Why is this
it's
so
a difficult one.
It's a difficult situation for anybody to sanction anybody.
Yes.
Anybody to sanction. It's not a very pleasant thing.
It's not easy.
Because the president or whoever the president is does not take these decisions alone. And you must also think of the effect. So imagine president has decided to suspend Sammy Gyamfi, in this matter. The political effect among party supporters and party members, it may not be well for the government and for the president himself. So it's always a president is always in a difficult position to announce punishment for appointees who may flout certain rules. And in this case, Sammy Gyamfi is a darling boy of the president. So it was I told my colleagues in the newsroom that it was going to be a difficult decision for the president to announce any punishment to him because of the significant roles he has played over the years for the party and for him, a loyal servant of the president. And that's where the difficulty is.
But doesn't these actions in the long run hurt the government? We've seen that in the past government.
It did.
This is like the beginning of a repetition of what we saw previously.
It will always hit, and it will always be a difficult decision. But you must also weigh the options of loyalty. The loyalty question comes in here. This is a person who has served me loyally all these years. And because of an act, as Salon said, of discretion or indiscretion, I may want to punish him for just one, excuse my language, silly mistake. No way. You may always want to weigh the loyalty option. And I think the president did that. And the implications of it, he weighed the implication as well. So there's always a difficulty for a president, I repeat, to punish an appointee.
Then there'll never be punishment.
The point is that we must get to a point or a place where we'll be able to punish appointees. And I think Mahama tried to give some signals, but of course, we still wait to see how that will go. The other issue really is that, in dealing with matters like this, I mean, it's actually a very difficult situation. If you don't take care, you will cause a meltdown in your government. So it's always a balancing act, and we've seen it done in many instances. Like when the opposition MPs came around and said, "Let Ken Ofori-Atta go." Yes, Ken Ofori-Atta could have gone, but Ken Ofori-Atta going would have portrayed the president in a certain way.
But what happened in the end?
No, of course. See, so
that's where my issue is.
But normally it's often not one thing. What this would do is that the president came into office with a huge mandate, with the goodwill as it started will not be the same way in the end, because there'll be decisions made. Like this was a decision. there'll be decisions made. People will be happy with it. Others will not be happy. You know, so somebody's okay. I thought you'd be different, but this you've done tells me that no, you will not be different. So people, so the goodwill will be chipped away gradually. If you are fortunate that by the time you go to the next election, the goodwill you have is enough to make you scale over the election, then good for you. But if you are not fortunate and the goodwill, you are in deficit of goodwill, then that's too bad for you. So I think what is important is that the president must show that he's committed to what he told us. He's committed to charting a different path. He's committed to overseeing the reset agenda so that public officials will be more accountable. I think we've started seeing signs of that. This that has happened shows that there is some accountability the public is expecting. And even the mere fact of the apology itself, I think it's some level of accountability, because I mean he apologized, and apology is one of the sanctions even under the code of ethics. So I think this, yes, he perhaps shouldn't have done that, but I don't think it has grown or is big enough to warrant a dismissal. I don't think so.
Or even a suspension.
I don't think so.
All right, I have to take a quick break. When I come back, we'll go to issues to do with the Cedi, the performance of the Cedi and the dollar, and calls for traders to lower the prices of goods and services for us to benefit from the good gains the Cedi is showing these past few weeks. Stay with us.
Life is a celebration of moments. Big and small.
The sun is scorching, I'm feeling the heat.
With Piva Drink, every moment becomes a refreshing celebration. From the beach to your home, in every corner of your world, Piva Drink adds a burst of refreshment.
Give me Piva cocktail and tangerine.
Celebrate every moment with Piva Drink. Refreshment for every occasion. Piva Drink, a taste you will love.
P for Piva.
This advert is FDA approved.
You're welcome back to What the Papers Are Saying. I'm Vivian Lokko here in the studio. I have Seloma Dono as well as Sammy Gyamfi. We are looking at the big stories for the week. Yes, you wanted to say...
I think that the minorities petition, interesting, is good. I mean, it will improve our governance. Petitioning Straj, the Office of the Special Prosecutor and the CID. I wonder if the three of them will do the investigations separately but simultaneously, or two of them will say, okay, because this has started, let's just back off and make them continue. But interesting, the kinds of things they want. They want to investigate the source of the money. I mean, source of the money. I mean, and potential conflict of interest. What's the potential conflict of interest? I'm struggling to see what the conflict of interest there would be, because if I have money and I'm giving somebody the money, it's not as if I'm expecting the person to do something for me in return. At least we don't know that, or we've not established that. You know, and the lady herself, I understand, came out to say that he saw the gentleman, he begged him and to relay a message of apology to Mahama, that she said a lot of things about him in the past. She forgive her. And then when he was walking to the car, he said, give me money for fuel. And he also gave him the money. So I don't see, I'm struggling to see what the conflict of interest
maybe based on that now she's gone to the NDC and would do things.
No, but that would not be a conflict of interest position. It's politics. It's politics. So if by so doing you recruit her as your member and she will do your bidding, I don't see the conflict in that. I mean, it's so I'm struggling to see the conflict. The issues about the Financial Exchange Act, breach of it, yes, that will be interesting, because when you look at the provision, when you look at the provisions of Act 723, I mean, quite interesting in there. I'm just trying to dig it up, and then see, so for example, when you look at Section 3 talks about requirement for license, and it says that the business of dealing in foreign exchange includes A, the purchase and sale of foreign currency, B, receipt or payment of foreign currency. So receipt or payment of foreign currency. So note the word payment. And then C, importation and exportation of foreign currency, and lending and borrowing in foreign currency. It doesn't fall in any of these apart from B. That's a receipt or payment of foreign currency. So when you go ahead and you look at the definition or the interpretation side of it, I think Section 33 or so, the term payment is interpreted. So payment means a transfer of foreign exchange made for the purpose of A, discharging a liability or acquiring an asset, B, creating a balance at a financial institution that can be drawn upon, or C, making a gift or a donation. Making a gift or a donation. The law also prescribes, punishments for all of these. So that I'm looking at the general penalty section of it. It says a person who commits an offense. So once you've breached that is an offense. A person who commits an offense for which a penalty has not been provided is liable to, on summary conviction, to a fine of no more than 500 penalty units or a term of imprisonment of no more than 4 years or both. So that is the general punishment for offenses that have not been specifically provided for. Some offenses have been specifically provided for, but this one hasn't been specifically provided for. So that is the punishment in there. But the Attorney General is the one that will assess the situation and say, okay, I want to prosecute this, I don't want to prosecute that, I want to prosecute that. So I think it's a lesson for all of them. It means that they have to be careful, and it's also good because when a political appointee goes to a program, all the people who swarm them asking for money, now they will know that they will know that you will be setting up the appointee. You will be setting up the appointee. You will be setting up the appointee.
Make sure you give them in cedis and stay away from dollars, pounds, euros.
Or maybe stop anybody from videoing.
I'm really interested in seeing what Sraj and Co will say about matters like this. I'm really interested in seeing what CID or the Office of the Special Prosecutor will say, in respect of this.
Okay. Now, let's still stay with the currency. The Cedi has been doing well against the dollar for some weeks now, and it's triggered discussions among the public for traders to reduce the cost of goods they sell to us, because usually the excuse they give us when prices go up is, oh, there's dollar, the city is not doing well and all that. And during the week, the Minister of Trade met with the traders to appeal to them following an early appeal from their leaders, Guta and the likes, for them to start ensuring that the performance of the city reflects in the cost of goods and services to us. Let me first bring you the sights and sounds from that meeting with the Trade Minister, and then I'll pick the thoughts of Salom and Sammy.
We have stated that government does not have the power to control prices, but government has the power to negotiate with our stakeholders to ensure that traders, manufacturers, and consumers take advantage of an opportunity when it happens. I'm happy to inform you that the direct importers have agreed to reduce their prices, and some have already started that already. We've also heard from Guta and AGI that it is good that the cedi has stabilized. They need a bit of time to let this reflect in their prices. It will happen gradually. The direct importers have started reducing their prices for the retailers, and this will be total when the old stock comes down. They are able to find an average from the new stock and the old stock, and prices will certainly go down. But this will be total in about 60 days. We hope that the cedi will keep doing well. We hope that all the indicators will even improve.
So during that meeting, Guta also responded to the calls for the reduction. Remember, they had earlier said they would do so, but they are now saying they should be given some 60-day window. Let's listen to what they said.
Committed to the cause of reflecting these gains in our pricing and our various business activities. As stated by my colleague, it's as a result of the forces of demand and supply that determines price on the market. We believe sincerely that within the period of 60 days from now, this impact will be translated onto the final price of our products that we wholesale and retail. We also strongly believe that in the midterm budget review, we will see further reflection and commitment from government regarding these gains.
So the question is whether you've started feeling the reduction in the prices of goods and services. I haven't. We took our cameras round to Accra and Kumasi. In Accra, the traders told us they had no intentions to reduce it anytime soon because the stock they had brought in, the rates at which they bought, the dollar at that time, the Cedi wasn't doing well. That has always been the excuse. In Kumasi, they said they will consider. But Sammy,
that has always been the excuse. Not at all. The only one I've seen is on the pump. Okay. When the fuel, at least that one you see a marginal reduction. Okay. Gradual. Aside that, I haven't seen any, and I don't expect to see any, and it will never happen. Oh, we live in a country where we've never seen traders reduce their prices, but we see them increase it. Immediately you see the change in the dollar. I remember in the year 2021, 2022, there, you buy an item, in the next 2 hours, you go back, there's an increase. Yeah. And we saw this happening. And at a point in time when the Cedi was a bit stabilized, we never saw a reduction in these prices. Mm-hmm. And we are never going to see that happen. And I saw how, in quote, wicked, Ghanaians are during the COVID era. During the COVID era.
What did we do?
When we were selling a long car of Agri for, which was selling around 7 cedis, we were selling it for 20 cedis and 30 cedis. Because, and that is a problem. And that is the problem. And when you talk to them, the explanation is always that, it's an old stock. Yeah. It's an old stock. Let's wait till. But it's an old stock, but they are refilling their shops every day.
Well, it's from the stock they went from. They bought
Fine. So I am saying that this 60 days, we will not see a decrease in price or reduction today or tomorrow. After 60 days, we will not see anything. At best, there will be price stability. But reduction pound here, we should forget, it will not happen. Why 60 days? It's too long a time. If the dollar should increase today, they will increase their prices the same very day. And so why should we wait for 60 days?
Because they also want stability.
Fine, the government has given us all the assurance that the currency will remain stable. Whatever magic they are doing, we pray they continue with that particular magic they are doing. And there's a hope and expectation that it will remain stable. But then again, I ask the question that in the unlikely event that we see some upward, movements, are we also going to go back and ask them to still consider reducing their prices after the 60 days or within the 60 days? I don't see this happening. It will never happen. Growing up, I've never seen traders reduce their prices before.
We do reduce to clear.
That's when it's getting to. They do reduce to clear. What is about 2 weeks or 3 weeks to expire? That's why you share the don't go. Those are the only ones we see. But if it's supposed to expire in, let's say, 2 or 3 years, you never see them reduce it. So the call for 60 days is just a charade. It's not going to happen. We will not see any price reduction. At best, just stability of it. But part that we are going to see the traders reduce it, it's going to happen. And it's a difficulty for government because government does not control the prices.
It's a free market.
It's a free market. And so the traders will rather have their own pricing formula. And that's where the difficulty is. We should have a government intervention or a government drive as to how to check some of these prices. I remember the previous administration under Cedi as trade minister wanted to bring some LI that would check these prices.
It wouldn't work.
It never worked for the cement and the hardware. It never worked. And so on the other side, I'm not sure it's ever going to work because most of these traders are also politicians in addition to their normal job they do. And so if the prices, you know, go up, as profit for them, is gain for them. But a reduction in 60 days is never going to happen. So if Ghanaians are expecting to see prices reduced in the next 60 days, as the minister has said, and Guta is backing, expecting that the traders will reduce their prices. Charlie, forget, it will never happen. It will never happen in this country.
You are being negative.
Oh, no, I'm being realistic.
Will be positive.
Vivian, we all buy and sell. We all buy and sell. Every Ghanaian is a trader. We all buy and sell.
Trader. What do you trade?
He's a woman. He's a businessman. Salom.
I mean, I think it's the attitude of the Ghanaian. We sometimes we are not truthful. We are not very honest, especially when money is involved. Traders will always say that the market is bad, or last year was better than this year. You know, when indeed this year may be better. So, you know, and stuff like that. And I think there's a certain profiteering mentality we have, which is playing out. We talk about the trotro driver, talk about everybody. If fuel prices go up, and the drivers are increasing their fares, the fare increase benefits them more than the people, because if the fare increases actually benefit them more, because when you do the calculation, maybe they slap 10 pesos on the fare. When you calculate it, you realize that it is way more than the increase in the fuel price. Of course, they will say spare parts and things coming, but it's a certain mentality, it's a certain attitude that's playing out. I don't think I disagree so much with the traders in respect of the 60-day window, all right? Because it is fair. If I bought goods and the goods haven't been sold out, I can't say because the dollar has reduced, I will reduce what I don't think I will do that, all right? I don't think I'll do that. I will want to see, even if the fuel guys do it, they will say, if they reduce fuel prices, there's a reduction. Sometimes they go ahead and sell it at the old price because they bought the consignment exactly, and that has to be expended before they can start applying the new price. It's exactly the same thing I'm thinking about now. The question is, if the dollar, if the Cedi depreciates, depreciates a bit, but not to the levels we saw when they bought the goods, would they reduce it? I think they have to, because this would have been lower than where they bought the original goods from, or where the rate at which they bought the goods they say they have in store from. So after 60 days, I expect to see some reduction. Hopefully the Cedi continues to be strong. I sincerely hope to see some reduction. And I also want to see whether they will also tell us that they have to exhaust the stock before they increase their prices if the Cedi begins to depreciate. I don't think that will happen anyway, because they will want to be able to buy the stock. So if you sell it cheaply, you will not be able to buy the same quantity you bought. So it's a very difficult, especially as we've not seen the Cedi do this in a long while. So people are just standing by and watching whether this is sustainable at all. But if the government and the Bank of Ghana are able to keep this going for a long time, like 6 months, 1 year, then we will all accept in our minds that no, this is really happening. Because people think that there are other factors or so many factors contributing to this, which are not really in the control of the government and the Bank of Ghana. So when those factors change, maybe the situation will get back to normal, which is the Cedi depreciating. But if the powers that be are able to maintain the strength of the Cedi 6 months into 1 year, I think people will begin to settle in, or people begin to see that no, indeed, it's happening. So we better reduce our thing, we better do this and that and that. I think it's good news, and we pray that it happens, and we pray that it continues, the Cedi continues to be strong.
Well, let's hope that happens. We have just a few minutes to go. Let's quickly move to the issue to do with Professor Ameya Akufi being in charge over the alleged $2 million Sky Train payment. This week, they were in court. He couldn't attend because we are told he's not well. But I'll take a minute each from you on the latest around that. He's now in court. together with the CEO at the time when the contract was signed?
Well, the Attorney General told us that he'll be filing, cases against Professor Mayor Kofi and the former CEO, and some other cases at this last press conference. So we are seeing a rollout of the things that he said in the last press conference in respect of, certain things that happened in the previous administration. Now, in this matter, we are told that an amount of $2 million was paid for job no done or work no done. And I asked myself that, how can you pay such a huge amount of money without any work? And per what did you see, or what did you hear, or what were you told before such payment, was made? And we're told that it was made to a company in Mauritius that was just set up, some few months, and then this amount of money was paid to this company. I think public officers should be careful in transactions like this. So you decide to, make payments on a project that you haven't seen for a job that has not been done. And so what was the payment for? Is it facilitation fee or consultancy fee? I think we need some explanation. The matter is in court. I'm sure as the trial goes on, we'll get to know the purpose upon which this particular amount of money was paid, whether it was for facilitation or consultation fee, or for the consultant to come down and come and look at the thing. We don't really know, but I'm sure as the matter goes, on trial, we'll get to hear more things like we are hearing from the Edu case as it unfolds in court. So we wait and see on what authority or the reason or the rationale behind this payments being made for work no done.
Well, it's a democracy, accountability, probity and accountability part of the tenants. So, yes, if money is being spent, the money is not being spent well, the people must account for it. So, Attorney General is doing his work, proffering charges against the people involved. In this case, Professor Kofi Ameyar and the former chief executive of the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund. I think his name is Solomon Samoa. I don't see anything wrong with this. All I call for is that the process must be fair. They must have, the needed, they must be accorded the needed facility to defend themselves and to put forward their case. The system must be fair to them so that their right to fair trial is not breached or violated. If at the end of the day they have their day in court, etc., the verdict is that they stole the money or they misappropriated the money, the law is clear, the law must work. So yes, I wish both sides well. I wish the Republic well in seeking to recover or retrieve monies that have not been properly spent according to the prosecution for the state. I also wish them well, the accused well. If indeed the money was spent well, we need to see a proof. For example, one of the things against Professor Kofi Ameyar as board chairman was that some of the monies were taken without going through the proper process. Feasibility study for 2 million, and we hear some 10%. In the shares also of the company or the special purpose vehicle also supposed to execute this. That 10% was not even applied for. We didn't even have it. So where did the money go? It's something we're all interested in. And I think before the election, the SkyTrain matter was one of those cases that were spoken about. And I think it will be interesting. We pray that they are given a fair trial and in the end, let justice prevail.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen. Our time is up. Salam Adonu and Sammy Gyamfi, thank you for joining us. They both work with us here at Channel 1 TV as well as Cedi 97.3 FM. I am Vivian Lokko. Thank you too for joining us. We'll see you again. Bye-bye.